Retro Advisory Board scours YouTube gaming and beyond to give you a little diversity to your playlist with videos on topics that just might not make the What's Trending or Recommendations tab. We're turning your attention to 10 of the more original, more quality content out there being created in the world of YouTube gaming. Because YouTube's algorithms aren't doing smaller channels or audiences seeking diverse topics and opinions any favors. We're helping each other out. There's a little something here for everybody.
And somebody has been really excited to see what's in it, so he's in the video with me today. So we got Neo with me, and we got some special guests behind the camera as well, so if you hear... There he is as well. So if you hear some crazy noises along the way, that's just the family getting involved. I know a lot of people would see an issue like
one of the best newer channels on YouTube.
May not feel comfortable addressing it head on. This guy stood up for something, saw somebody in need and tried to help them out, and eventually put an online bully in their place. The more we open ourselves up to the internet, the more we open ourselves up to negativity. But this is just another example of how powerful and amazing the gaming community can be when we want to do something good.
Week in, week out, Chronik Spartan invites you to
kick off your shoes and relax your socks. Kick off your shoes and relax your socks.
In the most chill game lounge as he walks you through some pretty compelling reasoning behind takes on one topic or another. This time up,
we need a Dino Crisis remake. Dino Crisis was a fantastic PlayStation 1 generation franchise which maximised on the Resident Evil popularity, taking the amazing Resident Evil survival horror gameplay and the amazingly cool world of Jurassic Park and mashing them together to make an awesome game where you found yourself in an eerie research facility having to fight off, run away and even hide from T-Rexes and raptors.
They're the Capcom survival horror series we need to see remade for the current generation. Not another Resident Evil remake. And the guys tuned in to our collective hearts and minds here to know if you really did need another Resident Evil remake.
The Resident Evil game that I would like to see remade is Code Veronica.
Unfortunately, Dino Crisis has been extinct since a poorly conceived follow-up in the series on the Xbox, and Capcom hasn't shown any indications looking at reviving the classic franchise.
As opposed to the first half of Resident Evil where you're dealing with slow and meandering zombies. And okay, Resident Evil does change up the pace as you play more into the game, but there's just something inherently creepy about the dinosaurs in Dino Crisis. They absolutely nailed it. And this is why I think Dino Crisis would be an absolutely perfect candidate for a remake. Now,
hear him out and let him know if you agree. Let's say we're knee-deep in some global health crisis, and what the world could really use right now is a reassuring, smart breakdown of all the myriad ways our bodies are working overtime to keep us safe from foreign, harmful invaders. If hungry goriya isn't carrying the baton for humanity, I don't know who is. In this video, she lays out an A paper for biology class on the fight against deadly pathogens, as applied to the classic NES shooter Life Force.
Every once in a while, some pathogens end up breaching these barriers and get into our system. At that point, it's up to a huge army of immune cells that are employed by the human body to seek and destroy the infection, and this can happen in a few different ways. The most common is for immune cells to consume the microorganism and digest it to kill it, a process called phagocytosis. Another more direct mechanism of killing is when immune cells fire off chemicals that are toxic to pathogens. These are usually in the form of granules, which can destroy the cell wall and the cell membrane of invading organisms, causing their insides to spew out in a very gruesome death. These are just a few of the many effective strategies that a host has to protect itself from being overtaken by outside entities. In Life Force, you might think that you're the good guy. You play a fighter ship pilot trying to save his planet from the belly of a giant alien beast named Xelos who's been consuming everything in sight, including your entire civilization. Although the pilot's quest to rescue everyone from their fate is admirable from his perspective, to Zelos, you're an invasive threat that's trying to kill him, and his immune system isn't going to take that very lightly. Since you've been eaten, you logically begin the game in Zelos' intestinal tract in Cell Zone 1. The area looks very much alive.
Whether you're a sophomore in said biology class, struggling with the differences between the epithelial layer and villi,
Girl, you know it's true.
or you really just want to ingest something fun and learn a thing or two before it's done, do yourself a favor and check out this video, along with her amazing 350 plus video backlog. What, you got someplace else to go?
Oh, come on, tell me the truth. Who am I going to tell? The Rock?
Oh my god.
So come on, are you having an affair?
No.
Well, that's good. I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, you know.
What is this game? What is this game?
I know, you call yourself a Nintendo fan,
What is it about these consoles that
but
continues
really,
to captivate the hearts
how
and minds
deep
of
is that
people
going
decades
if you're not
after
checking
the
out
last
this
game ships?
absolute gem of a
Mario
series?
Flash and a new game,
High production
Mario
effort,
Land.
informative,
Let's back up to the beginning
really
once
well
more to
done
put this in
masterclass on the
perspective.
games
Nintendo
we
had
would have got for the
Space
Virtual
World in
Boy
November
had the system found its
1994.
legs.
In Winter CES. This is Retro Impressions Unreleased Virtual Boy.
In this Retro Impression series, Jenovi's combed through a number of resources from the mid-90s, including gaming magazines, to present everything known about some of these games never to find release on the Virtual Boy.
These were all financial and marketing disasters. Nintendo's Virtual Boy? Well, it also fits into this category. The system was both a massive commercial and financial failure for Nintendo, in part because it was released before it was ready for prime time. Against Gunpei Yokoi's wishes, Nintendo rushed the platform to launch, releasing to the public a system that was not considered to be in a finished state. All this because the Virtual Boy had already been in development for 4 years, and Nintendo needed all hands on deck in support of the pending Nintendo 64.
Most of us know Nintendo released this ill-fated peer-in console. Some of us might be more familiar with some of its anemic little 22-game library.
With support for the hardware essentially being non-existent during its life, and the platform being discontinued months into its existence, only around 60 games in total were in development, with only 22 ever releasing to the public. This is a look at the games that remain unreleased.
But Jenovi's taken us clear across the red spectrum of its nearly 60 games in development in this multi-part series.
So what's the story?
Really essential viewing. Go check it out.
The entire neighborhood was turned on.
Oh, you should see what it looks like from out here.
It could be seen up and down Cleveland Street, the symbol of the old man's victory.
If he won that, it's a major award.
For over 3.5 years, EC's been alphanumerically playing through the NES catalog.
Anyone's new to the stream, I'm Eugene Myers, ecmyersvids. I stream every Wednesday night, a different NES game from my collection. In alphanumeric order, we are in the M's right now, Mighty Bomb Jack. I thought it was going to be Mylon Secret Castle this week, but it's not. It's Mighty Bomb Jack, and then next week is Millipede.
With the odd Genesis or Super Nintendo, or more recent console favorite added in as a little bonus for viewers.
The game is simply fun to play.
He's calm, collected,
No doubt just by watching
he knows
footage
his
of the game,
stuff,
you already know what it
and
is for you.
isn't immune from the odd clever insert to keep things light and entertaining.
Do you even Mega Man, bro?
There was a box of NES games. It was like somebody knew that I lived on. It was on my street. It's like people knew that I still had a working Nintendo. It's like, so yeah, I took it. I took the box. I can't imagine anybody would like accidentally leave a box of NES games on the curb, you know.
Most of his videos are hours-long streams of each game's playthroughs. But for this video, EC's got an on-point review of the Homebrew homage to classic 8-bit Mega Man, the newly released Trophy. It's informative, it's a game he loves, outright stating it's the Mega Man he wanted Mega Man 11 to be.
Especially a veteran of the Mega Man.
A review that added Trophy to my wish list. And he's got a full 4-hour playthrough up to boot. Well done, sir. Well done.
In some spots, especially that one boss. Can I no death run it at some point? Probably, but not yet.
it was so much fun hanging out with Eugene. He's such a great guy. He's a great writer. When I have questions about writing, or I have a English brain fart, he's always there to help me out. He's a really good dude. So make sure you check out his channel if you like to watch streams. His streams are really good. They're really mellow, really chill, which is the type of stuff that I like to watch. So if you're into that sort of thing, definitely check him out.
There are a few creators out there who put as much love into a project as RewindMike does with his no punches held look at the beat-em-up genre. Their origin, meteoric rise in the arcade scene of the late 80s with Double Dragon and Kunio titles leading the way.
From arcade prominence to console hits, the genre has had its share of literal and figurative smash hits. Whether you cleaned up the mean streets, foiled the Foot Clan, or thwarted Magneto, the genre focused on one or more heroes walking through a 2D or 3D environment, beating up everything and everyone that stands in their way.
Into the early 90s, and more commercially licensed properties joined in the fray as players lived the non-stop action of their favorite heroes, as they took on wave after relentless wave of baddies.
For its lack of any unique features, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was very marketable to kids, which garnered a much larger audience for the genre. As interest peaked for the beat-em-up genre, companies with deep pockets began shelling out money for big-name franchises.
All the way to their collapse as the genre bloated and retreated from the arcades and console development scene.
As the genre fell out of favor, it started to stagnate with releases such as Fighting Force. And 3D gaming at this point would start to spawn legs and evolve beyond the flat plane of movement that had become so ingrained in the brawler.
Mike's been at this for a long time, and the sheer polish and passion put into his videos is a hallmark of his channel. He's not as prolific a producer as he used to be, but every video he puts out is some of the best content on YouTube gaming. So add him to your subscribe list if you're inclined.
That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. Get it.
I'd be remiss to point you to RewindMike's content and not also put a spotlight on his longtime pal and often collaborator, Nefarious Wes.
Hey, what's going on, Nefarious Wes?
Wes has been putting out some really concise reviews and playthroughs since 2015. And his production and content, it's also top-notch. In this video, he takes on a review of the much-maligned, multi-directional scrolling shooter.
March of 1966 was when the Silver Surfer had made his Marvel Comics debut, first appearing in Fantastic Four issue number 48, where he saves his homeworld from the planet devourer, Galactus. During the 80s, this metallic hero wasn't nearly as popular as other iconic Marvel characters, such as Spider-Man or the Incredible Hulk, and as a kid, I often confused him with Iceman. But in 1990, the Silver Surfer starred in his very own video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, developed by Software Creations. Software Creations.
With some real talk about how the game isn't as broken or hard as nails unplayable as certain reviewers might have suggested.
What'd I say before? This game's not bad? Well, no, it isn't bad. It's fucking horrible! And I dare you to play it. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad, but this game just went way, way too far. The difficulty is legendary. This is the grand champion of hard motherfucking games. It doesn't fuck around.
False. If you haven't played the game very much, you too may come to this conclusion. I found the enemy patterns extremely simple to decipher, not to mention many of their movements are marred by rudimentary AI and general limitations.
And for the icing on the cake, he also posted a no-death run of the game.
Heat of the moment.
Sure, he's put in his time.
Fuck!
But also maybe this game isn't what you've been told it was.
Alright, this is Silver Surfer. Silver shit. He looks so stupid. I mean, what the hell's wrong with him? He's just like...
It's the kind of video I look for and aspire to create myself on YouTube. The one that challenges some pretty entrenched opinions and misconceptions and walks you through 101 reasons why a better case can be made.
Say what? Symphony of the Night isn't #1? Now you're probably wondering, how much crack does this guy smoke? And the answer to that is, a lot. But just stick with me here. Symphony of the Night is a fantastic game, and probably one of my all-time favorites.
And by the end of the nodding your head in agreement, you are clicking on his next take and the next, and 4 hours later questioning where your morning went.
Plenty of time to check everything out, and there was a lot to see.
Thanks, Wes. Austin of Gameplay and Talk is my go-to source for a certain brand of playthroughs that are knowledgeable and thoroughly immersed in the game, while an expert's talking me through the finer points of everything going on.
And this guy right here in particular likes to give you information. You have to pay for it. It's not worth it in most cases, although if you are brand new to this game, it might be worth checking out some of it, because some of it is actually pretty useful later on in the playthrough. But in the early parts of the playthrough, not too useful. You just end up paying for nothing.
Super informative, and doesn't overload you with trivial banter.
Ball to hit him at an angle just like so, and then dodge his projectiles that he shoots at us. Nothing too crazy here, although we did just take a hit. Bosses in this game have a tendency of hitting pretty hard, so you do want to be careful around them and not be too risky. Don't be too tanky. Don't just sit in place, absorb hits, and not move. That strategy does not work very well in this game. My last Let's Play of this was actually pretty old, pretty dirty looking, and so coincidentally I had some other requests to do another playthrough of it, and so here we are now.
He's played through the game a few times before and has a ton of notes to cover before recording. So there's no dead space, just quality talking points about the encounters in game and about the game itself.
The trick to this guy is just to wait and then jump, wait and then jump, wait and then jump, just like so. So now I've actually seen other people stream this game online, and they seem to struggle with these rooms pretty badly, and they say this is just very poor design, but all you have to do is just stand where you spawn in at, where you enter the room at, and that's it. You just jump at the right time and then shoot, and it's pretty easy actually. It's actually very easy. But going through those star rooms, getting the 4th star is mandatory if you want to get into the fortress here at the very end of each level.
This is by far the longest video in this episode at just over an hour, but his channel comes with a strong recommendation for its consistent quality and what you'll learn about the games that he plays.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Xexyz for the NES.
My name is Barney, and I'm an alcoholic.
Mr. Gumbo, this is a Girl Scout meeting.
Is it? Or is it that you girls can't admit you have a problem?
I can't tell you why Tom O'Regan is not on your recommended videos every day of the week on YouTube.
Did you know that Hideo Kojima is actually a feminist mastermind? Function over form is generally a good rule of thumb, because that's all a pause menu needs to be. Just there for when you need to take a quick break. Maybe go to the bathroom or grab something from the fridge. I put a mid-roll there as like a little joke, but you and I both know you're using ad block. You little minx.
Ireland's given us rock stars, and poets, and SPF 400, but it's Tom O'Regan we should be celebrating every feckin' St. Paddy's Day. No. No. Don't do that again. If you're not familiar with his channel...
Okay, so, ouch. My feelings.
Alright, we're gonna start this over, and you're going to pretend you know who I'm talking about. The 3x too clever creator of superb video game essays and musings, who douses every video in 100 proof wit.
A fun fact, the first game with the soundtrack was Space Invaders, which had this sort of military march thud that... It's actually, it's not half bad. Oh, wait for the beat to drop. Here it comes. Hell yeah, dude. Fun fact about that fun fact, Because the beat keeps in time with the aliens no matter what speed they're going, Space Invaders is also technically the first game to have an adaptive soundtrack. What's really cool about adaptive soundtracks is they adapt the soundtrack to what you do. I am a fucking idiot. Did I actually write that sentence? Adaptive soundtracks adapt the soundtrack. Yeah, real fucking insightful, Tom. You know what? I'm leaving it in. It's a one-man show, baby. No one can tell me nothing.
And animates them with enough visual cues, both subtle and over the head, to win animation awards.
Basically, do you know the way when if you get like a baby and you take its cells, you can use them to like grow new legs. Well, we have a thing like that, except instead of fetuses, we use magic sea slugs. And instead of legs, you can shoot bees out of your hands and stuff.
That Tom. In this video, Tom takes the best of the Drunken History format and applies it with a half-coherent, half-cohesive, half-cohabitative...
Evil monsters.
Do we have any more halves for co-ed?
So it's grand.
Anyway,
so
half-coherent attempt at explaining the plot of the hit game Undertale.
One day, they have this big falling out, and the monsters go away to live underground because they had a fight with the humans. So you're like, good shout, nice one, and then you leave, and you're walking around, but then you run into these two skeleton fiends. The small fella's cool enough, so you don't need to worry about him, but the lanky fella is like, what's the story? I'm gonna fucking catch you so that the goat fella can kill you, and then we won't have to live underground anymore.
Don't like Undertale? Don't know Undertale? Don't matter. The man's a feckin' poet. Have a seat and let him learn your story or something. I'm sorry.
I'm a fish lady, and I want to fight you. So you're like, alright, skank, you want to catch these hands? That's fine. How about a taste of this Kamehame hug, bitch? Come on. Bring it in. Let's have it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. The fish lady is like, you're not so bad, kid. You got panache. Go on. Fucking give him hell, you old rascal. And then... what happens then? There's a dinosaur, and she's a wee, and also there's a robot, and he wants to kill you, but then he's sexy, and I don't know, man. It's a fucking weird game.
And everybody knew but me.
Now, usually I'll stick to spotlighting creators under 10, 15,000 subscribers or so, as they really seldom get left on the wrong side of YouTube's trending and suggested algorithms. But since I'm quite the anti-rules type, and I'm making this up as I go, I'm happy to bend them a little for a standout channel like Friday Night Arcade, especially for the right video.
This week, we're going to take a quick look at what I like to call levels from heaven, specifically for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. These are levels that every time you play the game, you look forward to playing that particular level. There's just something special about it. Maybe it's the graphics, maybe it's the music, or perhaps it's just the right balance between fun and challenging to where no matter what, you can't wait to play that particular level, even if you played it a dozen times before.
And as blown away as the collective world is right now by Final Fantasy VII, yes, YouTube and Twitter, you can tone down those Final Fantasy VII clicks any day now. It's nice to see someone discovering a pretty well-hidden, superb little remake of a classic NES point-and-click adventure. The remake isn't going to knock any socks off per se. It's still a point-and-click style, same adventure, with more updated visuals and animation sequences, and a beautiful rendered score licensed from the original. with comparative shots between the 2014 remake and the original that was on the PC and NES.
But now the areas actually seem to come alive with cascading waterfalls and roaring fires in the background. It's an all-new look and feel to the original game with more of a dark gothic slant to the art design.
It's a fun little diversion into a moody game that most remember fondly, but doesn't get the megaphone that a Final Fantasy VII gets. Check it out.
What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No, you complete me.
And for the last shout out, I want to bring your attention to TopSpot123 for going the extra mile with some really great videos helping games collectors find better solutions to displaying and caring for their cherished little game room, or nook, or shelf.
The overall response to this tutorial has been very good, so good in fact that I've gotten some great suggestions for alternative techniques from my viewers that I'll be exploring here. When we're done, I'll take what I've learned and give you some more project ideas that you can use to enhance your game room.
In this video, he covers the entire product line from CustomGameCases.com. So, off the bat, yes, it's a promotional video in nature. But it's also a really well done look across what's out there, with considerations if you're looking to upgrade your loose carts without spending a second mortgage to go the traditional complete in box route.
I have other similar cases in my collection, so I don't have experience with competing products to review these against. This will be more an overview and product test. They did send me these samples for free, but this isn't paid coverage. I am very fond of everything in the box, but I'll point out any areas of concern at the same time. Let's put these cases through their paces. That laminating your box print was always optional.
He's done a lot of videos on related topics, including printing your own labels.
I like the added glossiness, the added sturdiness, and the added durability. But as you can see, an unlaminated cardstock box is still very nice and requires less work and materials to achieve. Next, let's compare the results of different printing methods. When I made the previous tutorial, I mentioned that my personal inkjet printer was my only viable printing option.
To an entire series covering game room ideas, if you're looking for a little inspiration to help display your collection.
Or other portable game storage and display. What about memory cards? You can size a box to hold PlayStation, Dreamcast, or GameCube memory cards in style. Mix and match designs to simplify a change of decor.
As well as completely unrelated topics like a novel little series in preserving Viewmaster.
Copyright 1972, Hanna-Barbera Productions. Mr. Peevely and Botch arrived in time to see the rocket.
All in all, a positive channel with great advice for newer collectors, and a decent library of videos on varying game and toy topics. He marches a bit to a different beat, and from what I've seen recently, it's really well done.
Use the opportunity to express your individuality.
That's going to do it for this episode of Next Up. Over the coming weeks, I'll be doing what I can to continue to highlight these creators and their videos across social media and elsewhere. And every few weeks, I'll be showcasing 10 new videos and doing the same. If you're down with helping them out, want to give their video a view, a like, or a subscription if it's more your speed, or even up for sharing if the topic's interesting and the creator one you find compelling, every little bit helps to give them just a little more time in the sun to find the biggest audience. And if we're going to make the gaming community just a little more of what we want it to be, helping these creative players out may just get us a little closer. For the Retro Advisory Board, this is Steven. Until the next video.